that's where Tramel's line about, you're 5 inches shorter than your statue
Right.
came from. When we had the rehearsal, that line wasn't in the script. And then when Ben was photographing me, I was trying to be eye level with it. I was way up on my toes, so I would kind of be next to it in the same height. And I said to him, why is the statue 5 inches taller than me? And the next day when I went to shoot it, that line was in the script.
That's amazing.
Let's get this party started.
A handshake is available upon request.
Thank you. May I have a handshake? Every time you find yourself here, it's because you chose to come back.
Innies, outies, shake it all abouties. Welcome to a very special bonus episode of Severance with the Boys. I'm your host, Luke F., and as usual, I'm joined by my co-host, Jonathan D. Say hi, John.
Hi, John.
John, how have you been? Are you looking forward to this?
Yeah, looking forward to it, to be honest. After last night's finale, it'll be nice to speak to Kier himself. What about yourself?
I'm good, yeah. Finale was exceptional, but we'll get into that with Kev on Sunday. Today we are ridiculously lucky to be joined by Marc Geller. You probably know Marc better as Kier Eagan if you're a fan of Severance, or maybe his many other roles in TV and film. Most recently, he appeared in the Oscar-nominated A Different Man. Marc will be joining us imminently. John, actually, do you hear the elevator coming down?
There it is.
Welcome, Marc Geller, to our auditory department on the 7th floor of Lumen.
Hi.
Must be a surprise for you coming down an elevator.
It was.
Myself and John really can't thank you enough for spending some time with us down here on the 7th floor. How are you doing out there in New York?
Doing well.
I remember asking you a few weeks ago to come on and do this, and you were kind of a little hesitant because you wanted to do it after the season had aired. And I was like, oh. And then after seeing the finale last night, that made a lot of sense why you wanted to.
Yes, and now I have things to talk about. If you'd actually been in the elevator with me on that opening, I could have shot you in the neck.
Also, I just want to applaud you on your social media interaction. It's actually how we met, I guess.
Yes.
For someone involved in such a huge project, you're extremely down to earth and super accommodating. How has the fan interaction been since this season started?
Oh, amazing. The show has amazing fans that run the spectrum from regular fans of a show to super fans to beyond super fans who've watched every second of the show 113 times. I mean,
You gotta find everything out.
and we also have incredibly talented fans. I get so much fan art and things from people, and they're really good.
The things that you post on your stories are incredible from fans. So the artwork and
I actually frame a lot of it and put it on my walls.
That's
Amazing.
great. How is that feeling of just having people create an artwork of yourself?
Oh, it's amazing. It's great. I love it. Keep sending. I love them all. I encourage it. I highly encourage it.
So we don't want to just ask you about Severance. We want to ask you about Marc Geller as well. So give us a little background about yourself. Like, how did you get into acting, and how did this whole thing start?
I'll go way back for you. I started acting when I was about 9. I went to a children's theater school for 5 years when I was younger. I moved to New York when I was 18, started acting professionally in New York then. The majority of my work was in the theater for the most part until about 2018 when I really started auditioning for film and television. And now the majority of my work is film and television and occasional theater. Like in 2023, I went to Arena Stage in DC and did a Canadian show called Ride the Cyclone, which you might know.
So where did you grow up, like before New York?
I grew up in Rhode Island, which is the smallest state in the United States. And I left there, as I said, when I was 18 and came to New York.
I know Rhode Island from the movie Me, Myself, and Irene.
That's your only reference to it.
Yeah, it's my only knowledge of Rhode Island.
The cartoon Family Guy takes place in Rhode Island, too.
Oh, okay.
And we have, and they have a British baby, so you should like that show.
So what inspired you to pursue a career in acting, and like what were your biggest influences?
It's funny because I come from a family that has absolutely no involvement in theater or arts in any way whatsoever. I just wanted to do it for some reason when I was 8 or 9 years old. And then I saw in the newspaper when I was 9 an ad for a children's theater school that was opening and convinced my parents to send me. And that's how it started. But prior to that, even when I was 8 and stuff. I was like putting on little plays and things. So I always
Nice.
wanted to do it.
Always had it in you.
You were in A Different Man recently
I am.
as the Ragged Man.
Ragged Man.
How was filming that?
It was great. It was great. I really enjoyed working with the director. Both of my little scenes are with Sebastian Stan, who was very, very nice to work with. And it was nice because I'm in the very beginning and the very end, so my little character gets to age 20 years in the movie, which was nice. Usually with a smaller role, you don't get to do something like that.
I remember when I first talked to you last month, I guess it was, and I gave you the wrong title of that movie, and I
Yes.
felt so embarrassed. But but I have seen it, just so you know.
This has nothing to do with what we're talking about, but it occurred to me this morning. I was just thinking, and it occurred to me, I'm the only person who can literally say, I live in Kier.
There you go.
Yep, that's fair. So, as you mentioned, you were in Ride the Cyclone, and
Yes.
it's been critically acclaimed, the same as The Normal Heart. How does acting on stage compare to acting in film and television, and what do you enjoy about each medium?
It's almost a totally different job, to be honest with you. I certainly enjoy the immediate response in live theater and the fact that you get to do it once and, people see it. You can't do any retakes. And just the feeling of family with a cast in a show. You're usually, especially if it's a regional theater show, you're usually all living together or living very close to each other, and you're seeing each other every day. So it's a very different experience. Film and television, most things are filmed out of sequence. It's not like doing a play really at all. You can film 2-3 lines a day. So it's a very different thing. I'm really enjoying film and television now, which I didn't know that I would. That's really what I'm trying to pursue now.
You've portrayed a variety of characters, ranging from the Amazing Konak, as we just mentioned, to being a Daredevil. Is there any particular role that's been most challenging or rewarding for you, and why?
It seems to be whatever I'm working on at the time, just because you kind of fall in love with whatever you're working on to a certain extent, or at least I do. So I really enjoy being Kier,
Okay, great. We really enjoy you as Kier, so that's great.
And it was so much fun finally in this season's finale to almost appear live, as close as I've gotten. Although I have to tell you, I got an email from someone yesterday, I think after they watched the finale, and they told me that they thought it was me acting like
Really enjoyed your experience. It was a bit robotic, though.
That might have been because I played an animatronic figure in Ride the Cyclone, so maybe they thought I was actually doing it. I was like, really? You really thought that was me?
Okay, let's jump over to some Severance discussion. Sorry to make you go through this question again. I know you've probably been through it a bunch of times. How did you get the role in Severance? How did that come about?
I went on an audition up at the studio. It consisted of an interview in Ben's office with Ben and Dan Erickson, the writer-creator, and one of the producers. And we discussed a bunch of stuff and talked. We got along very well. When I was there, I saw about 10 other people who were there to audition for the role as well. We were all similar ages, but very different types. I'm sure there were many others after I left. I was there early in the morning. And a few days later, my agent heard that they wanted to use me. At that point, Kier was basically going to be one portrait. I assume that portrait was probably the one that you see in MDR. I don't know that for a fact, but that would be my guess. And then things developed from that point on. This was I was cast 1 week before the whole COVID shutdown. About 6 months after that, around October, November, they had developed the idea of doing much more Kier art. And I went into the studio for like a 10-hour photo session where they put me in some different costumes, Civil War costumes, period costumes. And because it was the height of COVID at that point, I had grown my beard like 3 times the length it is now. And my hair was also very, very long. So we started off way back in the past in the Civil War stuff with my great big beard and my hair flowing. And then throughout the 10-hour period, I would change costumes, and each time they would cut the beard a little, cut the hair a little, dye the beard and the hair a little darker. So by the end of the night, when I left, I was clean shaven and had short black hair. So they have, I have all time periods and all ages they have hair of me. Then about 6 months after that, I guess it was, my agent got another call asking if I'd like to audition to play my own voice, because they pretty much hired me to be a face. So I said yes, and they sent me the copy, which was the perpetuity wing copy, I believe. And I recorded it and sent it back. And then the next day I heard that they wanted me to be the voice as well. And then that's that. And to be clear, I should clarify, because keeps coming up places. The perpetuity wing is my voice. The Ortbo is my voice. The mannequin is my voice. The animated thing on the screen when Helly completes her project is Ben's voice. The rationale I was told behind that was that animation would have been done decades after I was dead. So they hired an actor to sound like Kier.
Makes sense.
I died in 1939, I think. So, that kind of stuff didn't even exist.
What was it like stepping into a room with Ben Stiller?
It was very nice. He very much put me at ease. I wasn't at all really nervous. Both he and Dan and the producer that were in the room were all very, very nice. And we had a lot of fun conversation and laughed and just talked about stuff.
Awesome.
And he's a really nice guy. He's always been, so nice to me. And I should say gone out of his way when he has interviews to say that I do the voice, with the exception of that one thing that we just mentioned. He always points that out. So
that's great.
Everyone on the show is very, very, very nice to work with. Dan Erickson as well. Incredibly nice.
So, Mark, you mentioned about having to audition to be the voice of your own character. How was that experience for you?
It was fine. It was fine. I mean, I just did it, I recorded it at home and just sent it in to them. It didn't need to be a professional recording. Yeah, I didn't have much doubt.
Okay, perfect. It's good that it already looked like you, so it's a benefit if it sounds like you too. So
I know I can talk,
Yeah.
Like I said, when I initially had the interview/audition, I didn't act for them, so they didn't know if I could do anything except sit there and talk. So I can't blame them for asking me to do it.
Where did the inspiration for the voice come from?
Well, when we did the Perpetuity, which is the first one that we did, it was pretty much just Ben and I and an engineer in a sound studio. And Ben described to me that he wanted it to sound like he was literally on his deathbed, making his last recording, and he was very, very sick. So that's me being very old and very sick, basically.
Yeah.
When we did the Ortho one, that one's not quite as sick and not quite as old. And then the one that we just did for the finale is a lot more vibrant and full of life.
Let's maybe talk about that scene. John, do you have any questions based on that? Because I certainly do, but you can go ahead.
I just wanted to have some insight because I know you were on set that day for it and doing the voices with the actors there and such. So I just want to know your experience for that day. How was it? How was the vibe there?
I was actually on set all that week doing it. It was great. I got to meet some people I hadn't met before. I met Adam. Adam was there, and Britt was there that day. And Trammell I already had met. I'd met Trammell there, and I'd also met Trammell just outside of there as well. I went to see him in a show he did. All extremely nice people. So it was great. It was great being there. Doing everything from a studio or in photos at the studio when no one's around, but a photographer or Ben or whatever, is great. But you don't really get any kind of feeling of being really involved. So being there with Adam and Britt and Trammell and
getting to act with them essentially.
Yeah, and
getting
getting
the
to
voice and
know
stuff
people.
instead of just doing the ADR. Yeah. I'm sure that's a much better feeling than.
And I'm sure it was helpful to them to actually finally, put a face to the person they've been staring at and all these paintings and things.
Yeah. So did they know it was you right away?
They did.
Just seeing your face? Yeah.
The beard at the time was not this long either. I looked a lot more like the statue. I looked just like the statue, but shorter. I was the mini-me version of the statue. It's funny because Ben likes to take pictures and took a lot of pictures of me standing next to the statue and me moving with the statue, just,
amazing,
while he did the joystick kind of thing. And that's by the way, I've told this story on podcasts before, but that's where Trammell's line about, you're 5 inches shorter than your statue came from. When we had the rehearsal, that line wasn't in the script. And then when Ben was photographing me, I was trying to be eye level with it. I was way up on my toes, so I would kind of be next to it in the same height. And I said to him, why is the statue 5 inches taller than me? And the next day when I went to shoot it, that line was in the script.
That's amazing.
one thing Severance has kind of stayed away from compared to other mystery box shows I've noticed is they don't do flashback episodes. They don't have, like, Lost did a lot of flashback stuff. Not sure if you're ever a fan of Lost. Other mystery box shows do that kind of thing, and it's something Severance has never done.
Definitely needs a Kier origin flashback episode. That's what I think.
This is what I'm getting at is I think the show would be, I'm not sure it would work with the format of the show. The feeling of season 1 and 2 is very different. But season 3, I'm wondering if they start to explore the characters more. They go into Kier's history.
I'm sorry. I feel like in season 2 they did that with the Miss Cobell episode and even the Gemma episode to some extent.
I guess, yeah.
They were kind of like standalone sort of origin episodes. So, I think it'd be great to have a Kier origin episode. Unfortunately, I don't write the show, so. But if I did, there'd be a Kier origin episode. But there could also be, there could also be flashbacks. There could be dreams. There could be any number of ways of getting him alive, even though he's dead. Visions, dreams, all those kinds of things. So I hope that happens at some point. I would love it if it did, but I don't know.
Yeah. Well, we're campaigning for you. We want it to happen.
Please 100%. Do.
I mean, there's many theories out there that they're trying to rebuild Kier Eagan, so you never know. He could be coming back in a different way.
I'm there for it if they are.
I'm assuming you're as in the dark as we are about the future of Severance.
I am.
So
everything I knew has now aired, and I know nothing about anything happening from this point on. All I know is I can't age out of this part because I'm dead. So no matter how long the series goes.
What's your most memorable experience from being in Severance so far?
I have a couple. I think the initial interview was really memorable. It was much more relaxed and low pressure than I had ever experienced with any kind of interview or audition before. It was really a lot of fun. And even if I hadn't been cast, I obviously would have been upset I wasn't cast. But I really enjoyed the time we had in the interview. It was a lot of fun. And everybody was very, very nice. So there was that. Certainly, the week on set doing the finale was a highlight, and getting to meet other people and in the show that I hadn't met prior.
Yeah,
getting to technically do a scene with Tramell.
Yeah,
you were in the scene. You did the scene.
Animatronic Kier has some real sass in that scene, and I was just wondering if that was like in the script already, or was it something that kind of came up naturally between the two of you?
Well, there wasn't anything in the script in italics that said sassy.
Yeah.
But when I read it, it seemed kind of like a Borscht Belt routine gone wrong. So that was my interpretation of that, I guess.
It was so good.
It was great. It came across like that perfectly, yeah.
That section was my favorite section of the finale, honestly.
Thank you.
It was incredible.
Yeah, mine too.
If you had free choice to take anything from the show, seasons 1 or 2, what would it be? Which prop would you take?
Well, I love the Kier Waffle Party mask.
Yeah.
I love the Kier bust that's at the Waffle Party as well. And maybe the Taming the Tempers painting would be nice. I love it all. The only two things I wouldn't take are the wax figure and the gigantic cement statue outside, just because they wouldn't take that part.
Might look a little strange in the apartment there as well, I guess.
Yeah.
It would be a little creepy having a wax figure of me in my little apartment.
Okay, so there's a Discord channel for Severance. It's like a fan ran Discord basically, where everyone just discusses the show. There's an optics and design section to it, and I asked the question. I said we're going to be having you on the podcast, and asked if anyone had any questions, and I had just a few simple answer questions sent in. So I'm just going to ask you those, if that's okay.
Sure.
So this one's from Rue from the Discord. What was it like seeing your face in all different mediums, painted, sculpted, pixelated, etc.? Is it flattering, uncanny?
It was great, but that's because I'm extremely narcissistic and I love seeing it. I'll be totally honest with you. They could just paint my face on every one of those white walls in the hallway and it wouldn't be too much for me. and all the different interpretations too, because they're not all done by the same artist. There are several artists on the show. There are several paintings that are done by several artists, and then they pick the one they like as well. I've seen about 6 or 7 versions of that Civil War painting of me that you see in when I guess it's Irving goes to visit Felicia or something. The big Civil War painting there. I've seen many versions of that. Oh, that's interesting too. That gigantic mustache that I have in that was real too, because at that point in the photo session, they cut the beard off and left all the mustache that was left. So I really had that gigantic mustache.
Amazing.
Excellent. Jay from the Discord asks, how much lore have you had to work with, and did you contribute to any building of the world or shaping any of it?
I really can't say I contributed to the building or shaping of the world so much. No, I can't take any credit for that. That's all Dan Erickson and Ben and the other writers. In terms of lore, if I asked a question to Ben or Dan, they would answer it. And the rest, I pretty much learned the same way you did, online and reading people's theories and, watching the show. When I did the finale episode, I had a few more pages of the script before and after my scene, so I knew things that were going to happen.
What from Discord asks, what is it like to be such a presence in the show without ever actually having an on-screen scene?
It's what we would call in the theater a princess track. You just have to do it and get a lot of attention, but you don't have to do that much. It's great. Like I said, the more the better. I would love to somehow appear live in something, but it's great being the face of something as well.
I truly hope we see you on screen at some point. I'm sure we will.
Me too.
Yeah.
I feel like it's heading that way.
I think we have to start some kind of a campaign.
Yeah. Let's do it. Let's fire it up.
Canada can threaten the company. Canada insists Kier be alive.
So looking ahead, are there any upcoming projects or roles that you're particularly excited about, and what can fans expect from you in the future?
I have a couple things that I'm actually doing now that I actually can tell you nothing about because they have all kinds of NDAs attached to them.
Of course.
But when I can tell you about them, I certainly will. And I've got a lot of auditions out for things that a couple that I'm really very much interested in that I would love to get cast in. So we will see. Unfortunately, that's also not up to me.
Well, good luck with all that. And we look forward to seeing you in everything that you're in.
Yeah.
Thank you.
If you are watching this episode, please follow Marc on Instagram. It's Geller_Marc with a C.
GELLER_MARC.
There you go. You did it way better than I did.
I very much like talking to fans of the show and seeing what you all think.
Please come back before season 3 and have another chat with us.
I would love to.
Thank you again, Marc, for joining us today. It's been a real pleasure chatting with you. It's very interesting and a great insight to yourself and Kier. Yeah, just thank you again, Marc.
Thank you for your feedback. No.
Severance with the Boys is a production of Movie Time with the Boys. Written, performed, and edited by Luke Frost and John Davis. Original soundtrack and themes by Orhan Aden, and original artwork is by Zach Williams. Connect with us on Instagram and Blue Sky, or email us at movietimewiththeboysmail@gmail.com.